So I want to introduce to you the Assistant Director of the Illinois Department of Corrections, and she is our keynote speaker this morning. Director Taylor.
I'm kind of short. Good morning. All right. So, hmm, my bio on the Illinois Department of Corrections site says that I have a passion for this. But I've come to understand over the years that I've worked for the state that it's not only a passion, I have a purpose. And I finally figured out what the Lord really wanted me to do. That's why I'm here. So I thought about the remarks for today, and I thought I'd just share with this group because I find what my brother's keeper does and Lutheran Social Services does is very aligned with a new mission for the department. We're on a critical journey to transform corrections. About 3 years ago, the department redefined its mission, and it's to serve justice in Illinois and increase public safety by promoting positive change in the offender behavior, operate successful reentry programs, and reduce recidivism and victimization. The governor charged us to reduce the population by 25% by the year 2025. Where are we today? And what does this transformation journey look like? We've identified three key strategies to effectively achieve this population reduction. First, we have to assess what the population needs in terms of treatment and services. The department has a $1.4 billion budget, but most of the costs associated with that budget are fixed. What we spend to successfully reintegrate these men and women into your communities is just a very small fraction of that operating annual operating budget. So we have to be more effective about assessing what their needs are. That includes identifying where they have strengths as well and what the risk of reoffending. So this gentleman spoke about being strategic about, you know, technology and the tools that are brought to the table. One of my coworkers here in the room plays an integral role in what we do to try to reassess the population or begin assessment of the population. It's not about what the conviction was that sent that man or woman to our custody. It's about what we can do to prevent them from returning. We have to align these very limited resources for programming and treatment. That's, that means identifying the appropriate facility. The bishop mentioned Menard. In my mind, we shouldn't be releasing anyone from Menard. Menard is a maximum security facility, and the level of incarceration at Menard should be used as a part of a step down that places the individual in specific facilities, first addressing criminogenic patterns and then stepping them down so that they can receive appropriate programming and treatment, and then stepping them down and having them interact with communities such as this so that they're prepared to come back and live next door to you successfully and never return to our custody. So we have to introduce evidence-based programs. Well, many of you over the course of the past 40 years have come into our facilities as volunteers, and many of the programs are successful. However, we've got to figure out in physical plan where that environment wasn't meant for programming and treatment. It was simply meant for safety and security. Now we've got to make it a programming space. We often term it in the department as we operate cities. And so everything that you would have in a normal city has to be executed within the Illinois Department of Corrections. And I don't know many cities with 1,600 individuals, 1,800 individuals, or in the case of Bernard, 3,500 individuals can operate simply off $1.4 billion and do everything that we need to do. And I have 30 facilities that have to be encapsulated and with that level of funding. That means we have to change the culture and our operations. We have to enhance staff development and training. We have to revise our administrative practices and procedures so that we are effectively treating this population. So, our new process requires us to address reintegration at intake. We need to assess them. We need to determine what their risk of violence is. We need to define a mission for each of the 30 facilities that we operate, and then develop custom programming and job training that immediately addresses the person's needs and their risk of reoffending. Throughout that process, it has to be continuous reassessment. How is the person improving, over the custody stay, and what do we need to do based on their length of stay to improve their success rate once they are ready to release to the community? I think on average, our population is in custody for about 11 months. By the time we process them into 4 reception centers throughout the state, which takes about 60 to 90 days, and then ship them to a particular facility, that could be a 4 to 6 month window. If they're successful in getting into a program, then they're entitled to some form of sentence credit, and then they're out the door before we're able to respond to what the handoff should be to the community. So we're thinking about more effective ways on how to do that, how to optimize their housing, how to integrate with the other social service agencies at the state level as well as at the local jurisdiction levels, how to interact with local law enforcement so that they understand what the restrictions are going to be placed upon them when they return to the community, and customize their action plans while they're in the community where it's amenable. We've recognized that the challenges that our population faces when they're in rural parts of the state are different from those that are in the urban communities of the state. So all of those considerations have to be taken into effect. I find what Lutheran Social Services does and my Brother's Keepers does is very focused, very efficient. The fact that all of you all are here today just supports that thinking and that belief. Again, customized, comprehensive, need-centered case management that leverages that person's strengths and addresses any outstanding risk factors means that that individual will be successful once they return to the community, and then I can be assured that that person isn't returned to IDOC custody. We've been somewhat successful over the course of time since my return to this agency. Our return rate has gone from roughly 48%. I think we're down to about 43%. The population is down from roughly 48,000 individuals in 2010 to right above 40,000 at this present time. Again, it's not about who's in custody now. It's about ensuring that those that are in the community, because there are about 25,000 individuals in a community statewide that are still under supervision. Our goal, our objective has to be sure that that individual is not returned to our custody. So it takes respect of humanity, a holistic, comprehensive, need centered, equitable, strength based, customized treatment, planning, programming to meet this individual's high priority needs for success. That's where I'm focused, and I appreciate your helping me to achieve those goals and objectives. Thank you.